Yes. It's the Raphael Dawkins with the Combat Radio. Let's get into it. Okay, so Deontay Wilder's coach calls for Tyson Fury to be stripped of world title amid news of a Francis Ngannou fight. As you know, as we know, I've reported on it. Tyson Fury is scheduled to announce a crossover fight with UFC's ex-heavyweight champion, Francis Ngannou. Francis Ngannou, who left the UFC because he was tied up with their contracts. And with the UFC contract, you're limited to what you can do, understandably. Well, Ngannou wanted to have some boxing fights. He is a heavyweight and wanted to mix it with the best heavyweight boxers straight out the gate. Rather unwise, but nonetheless, that's what he wants to do. Deontay Wilder showed interest in it. Tyson Fury showed interest in it. It looks like Tyson Fury is the winner. Tyson Fury is the one who's going to get to pick off Francis Ngannou, who is highly unlikely to beat top boxing heavyweight. Highly unlikely. But amongst news that fight is scheduled to be announced this week, Deontay Wilder's coach, Malik Scott, has been left fuming and demands that the WBC take their prestigious title away from the heavyweight champion. He goes on to say, let's do something that makes actual sense, that helps the sport. All this effing waiting around, and now we've got to wait for Fury and then Ngannou to fight another year, and all this ish, just holding up the division, man. We don't need this. Tyson Fury is bad for the sport. He didn't actually say he was bad for the sport. I was just ad-libbing. Okay, so we know that Fury ducked Alexander Usyk with his ridiculous demands for their fight. And now Usyk, we know he's defending against his mandatory challenge, Daniel Dubois, in Poland. We know that Anthony Joshua is returning on August the 12th against Dillian Whyte. The super fight with Wilder is lined up for Joshua should he get past Dillian Whyte. We'll talk about that more in the live show tonight. So that leaves a Gypsy King. What's the Gypsy King going to do? Looks like he's going to be fighting against Francis Ngannou, and that will be an exhibition match. Malik Scott goes on to say, we tried to make a fight with Ruiz, make that fight for the heavyweight championship. Does he have an argument? Well, I've heard it through the grapevine that Usyk has been saying something along the same lines. Strip the guy. Strip the big dusser. Usyk is saying strip the big dusser. And it seems like Malik Scott is saying the same thing. What's Luke? What's Luke been up to recently? Okay, well, we know that in December 22, 19 months ago, Luke fought Derek Chisora. Was Derek Chisora top 10 when Luke fought him? Highly unlikely. That was in December 2021. Dillian Whyte before that was a mandatory, so you can't argue with that fight, and that took place in April. So what's that? That's a year since he fought a mandatory. Then Derek Chisora. I don't think the WBC are going to strip him on the basis of that. Bear in mind, it's the WBC who've had Jamal Charlo, as their middleweight champion, WBC. Jamal Charlo, who hasn't fought in over 2 years. Likely to be 2.5 years by the time he gets his ass back in the ring. WBC have kept him as El Champion. So what's the chances that they're going to strip Luke Fury? Highly unlikely, says the Rafi. Highly unlikely. But it's interesting that it's coming from the Wilder camp. It appears to be coming, I heard through the grapevine, it's coming through the Usyk camp. A lot of pressure on Luke. So what do you say? Have your say. It's the Raphael Dawkins, it's the Combat Radio. Like, definitely subscribe if you want to hear news from around the world of boxing on a regular basis. Comment, share, and be sure to look out for the live show. Monday nights, sometimes other random nights. It's Raphael Dawkins, it's the Combat Radio, and we